I actually have, I think one of your cousins may be in our show because her name is exactly Corpening as well. So, but what we're going to do is if you have questions, if you have comments, make sure you put those in the chat. When we open it up for questions, which we will do, make sure you think about your question, ask your question, and then stop talking so that we can give Alesia the opportunity to answer the question, and we can give other people the opportunity to ask questions. So make sure when it's your time to ask a question, make sure you identify yourself, and then go ahead and we can mute that person.
You tried to kill me.
Can we mute that person? There we go. Thank you. Then ask, introduce yourself, ask your question, and then stop talking so we can let Alesia get started. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Alesia, how you feel?
I feel like what's funny is you said somebody last name is Corpening. If it was Corpening, then we're probably related because most of us are. But I feel great today. How are you today, Philip?
Doing well, doing well. So, you have your 501c3 Feed the Soul, you're executive director of it and founder. You got YouTube content that you do a lot of creating for your mom, you're an entrepreneur, you do a lot of different stuff. So, with all that being said, first question I have for you is how did you get started?
Yes. Well, actually, I started first pulling my camera out on the OMS campus in Cleveland. We had to do an internship, and I knew that I had to work for someone or like build projects. And so instead of me going and working for another company, it wasn't that I didn't want to collaborate, but I just asked if I was able to build my own business. So the way that I did that, they asked me to put something in writing. So I had to put something in writing, and it had to go through John and Mark and Nancy, and they all had to approve it. And that project that I put in writing was True Creatives Media Management, which was focusing on developing content, media content, digital content, and then managing the output of that and using that to build a business. So that's how I got started back in 2018 is when I first turned on the camera and started to take this serious.
Fantastic. So, why are you so passionate about branding and scaling? Why is that the thing for you?
That's a great question. I would say it's because of everything that was happening before I enrolled at OMS. And so being into a space where I think we've all like experienced loss at some point. And whether it was losing money and not being able to pay bills, whether it was losing a relationship, whether, whatever that loss has been experienced, we've all experienced some type of loss. And so I told myself that I wanted to build something that was sustainable, not just for myself, but for my family and my community as well. And so when it comes to being a content creator, it's more than just I'm wanting to be on YouTube or wanting to be in the media industry. It's about what are the real causes and real issues that are going on in the communities and the families and the individuals that I encounter on an everyday basis, and what can I create to be able to kind of bridge that gap or just build economic development. And so that's really what inspired it to get started.
So, when it comes to, branding and scaling, branding is one of those big buzzwords. I've done conferences and workshops on branding. What is branding to you?
That's a great question. So to me, branding is the experience that you give a person when they see your logo or they come to your event or they tune into your live webinar or follow your social media page or any of those things. So to me, branding is the experience you give the end consumer. It's not really just about, do you have a logo? Do you have a website? Do you have a color palette? It's about the experience you're building for the end consumer.
Mm. All right. And what's the scaling end? Because you talked about branding and scaling. What is the scaling side of branding?
Yes. So there's this thing, most entrepreneurs, most of us, when we start off, we are in this space of doing this one-to-one type concept, meaning that we've got this logo, we put our brand together, we've probably had a few clients, things of that nature, but we're still spending so much time working one-to-one, meaning I'm doing one-on-one calls or one-on-one trainings or shipping out products one-to-one and things of that nature versus saying a one-to-many concept. And so scaling says that I have this great experience that I'm offering to an end consumer. I know it's great because I've checked my insights, I've gotten feedback, I've studied and done market research in this area of what I'm doing. And now I'm ready to skyrocket it. I'm ready to meet more people. I'm ready to connect with more individuals and things of that nature. So scaling is saying that I'm done taking loss. I no longer desire to take loss or to operate at this level. And I'm ready to go this way and operate at this level.
I love it. So now we've got over 25 people plus in the room, and more people are going to be coming in. I'm sure there's a large number of people in the room and people that are on YouTube that are watching that are entrepreneurs, and they are doing business one-to-one. So when you talk about scalability, what are the ingredients? What are the steps that you can begin to scale? You mentioned analytics. You mentioned several different things. So for those entrepreneurs that are working right now, how do they go from one-to-one business to one-to-many?
Okay, awesome question. So one, I want to just take a moment and ask for anybody that's listening, if they could just drop a one in the chat if you are a business owner. I just kind of want to see like how many business owners we have in the room. But to answer your question, my formula or my scalability formula, so to say, it really just says like, what are the pieces? Okay, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving. I see a lot of business owners. So really, it's just saying that what pieces do I need for my business to function, and how can I automate those processes? Now, I know we've all heard about like AI and that conversation, so I won't spend too much time like diving into it or any of those things. But generally put, AI is just simply a machine that's processing or thinking like a human being, whether we're talking about photos, whether we're talking about words or any of those things. And so basically what I'm saying is just automating, utilizing artificial intelligence and other softwares and customer relationship management systems to automate your process. So starting off, I like to say, make sure that you have an introduction. When you meet people, whether it's on this Zoom call, whether it's off of this Zoom call, in person, any of those things, make sure you have a way to connect with them. Me personally, I also like, I know some people on the call, I've kind of like, share this piece with, but Papo is something that I use. It's attached to the back of my phone. It's also a business card that I have in my wallet, but I simply tap someone else's device, and now they have all of my contact information. On a webinar like this, if I post my link inside of the chat, now everybody on the call can connect with me. And now, not only they get my business card and I got their information and they got my information. So we had this first connecting point when we're talking about scaling. But now I have a lead. Now I can send them an email. Now I can follow up and say, hey, I met you at this event. And when we're doing this, we're always keeping in mind who our target audience is. So you may go to a networking event and out of 25 people in the room, only 5 people may be your target audience. But we never really get to the point of knowing that or being able to identify that because we don't do that follow-up piece. So that first thing was just introduction and making sure we follow up after we do that introduction. Now, do you want me to continue to go through the list or did you want me to pause?
Oh, this is your show. I'm loving this right now. So all of the entrepreneurs out there, keep listening. So the first step was you need to have your intro and use AI. Because for instance, for me, I use Hi Hello. So I have the scan, you can click scan and boom, you have all of my information. So use artificial intelligence and have your intro. Those were the first two things I heard. Was that correct?
That is correct. And you have many different artificial intelligence programs. Like, I know a lot of people may have heard of things like Chat GPT if we're creating content. And I'll kind of dive or touch on those topics a little bit, later as we're talking. But with Chat GPT or things like even Canva. Canva is one of our favorite softwares. Canva has something called Docs. If you click on the docs, they have something called the magic tool. And if you click on the magic tool and you say, hey, can you create an Instagram copy? Can you create an Instagram copy that gives people a call to action to follow up with me? Because remember, we're looking to build an introduction and connect with whoever our target audience is. So yes, making an introduction and utilizing AI to automate that process of making an introduction. The old way was saying, hey, here's my business card, here's a flyer, things of that nature. And in some spaces that still exists and things of that nature, but majority of it is transitioning over into this digital world and automation and quick and convenience. And how can you stay on a person's mind when there's a billion people that they're going to connect with on a daily basis? That next one is going to be customer relationship management. So having a CRM system. So I love HubSpot. HubSpot is my favorite. You have different things like Monday and Asana and all of these different things. However, HubSpot is my favorite because it's that thing that, one, it connects with my pop-up. So when people tap on my phone and they put their information in, that information automatically, again, that's automate, we're automatically going inside of our HubSpot. And what does HubSpot do? It not only allows me to send out emails, it not only allows me to track those emails, it gives me task management. It allows my end consumer, my clients, my customers, or whatever name you're using for your target audience to fill out forms. It allows them to put in tickets, and now they're added in a queue. It allows me to just basically create this system for managing every contact that I make with another individual. So networking and that introduction is one piece, but once I meet these individuals and I connect with you, how am I actually managing our relationship and making sure that we're building versus just plateauing and staying where we are, and things of that nature. And I just really want to I want you to be mindful that not everybody's going to want to connect or build with you. And some people is just that they're coming in on a continuum, meaning that they're not ready for you right now. Or they may be coming to you later or something of that nature. Some people are coming in the buying process. Like some of you have never even built a business at all. And it's like, okay, well, where does my AI come in? So, and I'll post these links inside of here, but you want to use different platforms like, I believe it's called FontJoy. Hold on, I'm going to just pull it up really quickly. Yes, FontJoy is it. I wanted to make sure I gave it to you correctly, but FontJoy is going to make sure that you are utilizing fonts to be on brand. Coolers.co is another AI system that you'll use to create your brand palette for you. When you are building a brand, if you're just not building a brand and you're new to this, put a 3 in the comments for me. Our business owners, put a 1. If you're new to it, put a 3 so I can just know if I'm speaking to you out there. You're spending too much time on trying to produce the logo and the business name and the brand color and the things of that nature. And now AI has produced things where it's going to give you this in a matter of 2 seconds. So the other one is brandmark.io and Namelix. That's namelix.com. And so what those two are going to do is one produces a logo for you, one produces a business name for you. I'll post those links in there in a second for you. But those are some AI tools that if you're those 3s, you want to look at those things. How can I actually start building my brand so that when people see my logo, see my business names, things of that nature, then I can now make an introduction. Like, here, this is who I am. And now you can move on to the customer relationship management. If you're my 1s, then you probably already have those basic things like your logo and website and things of that nature in place. And now you're focusing on managing the introduction. You've connected with, I'm sure, over 30 people this year alone that you haven't followed up with. So now let's put them inside of our CRM so that we can move forward from there. And the rest really just goes into things like engagement and customer service. So meaning that once I have you in this CRM, how am I engaging with you? Am I sending out A/B test emails, meaning 2 different versions of an email to see how well that they do or which one performs best? Am I connecting with you on Instagram and actually following your posts and commenting and engaging and things of that nature? Because this is deeper. Building the brand and scaling and automation is deeper than just making a sale. You kind of got 3 options. You're either educating, nurturing, or making a sale. And those are your 3 call to actions or the things you're building around. And so when we're talking about automating or what things we need to be looking at, we need to make sure that we're putting systems or tools in place that automates our process and manages our customers.
I love it. So for everybody that she said a lot, so let's go over that again right now. If you're posting stuff, there are 3 things that you're doing. Either you are educating, you are nurturing, or you're selling. If you're not doing one of those 3 things, you are just out there having fun and you're not making yourself the direction you want to go. So now you said a lot of good stuff. Business owners that are already in business, doing business, make sure again that you're putting a 1 in the chat. If you're new to this, make sure you put a 3 in the chat. We're going to open up the floor for questions in a moment. Some more things that we want to hit on though is you've said a lot and you've got my brain thinking of several different things. So here's the question that I have, and I want to play devil's advocate for the types of entrepreneurs that are watching and that are in the room right now. The entrepreneur that has a product to offer versus the entrepreneur that has a service to offer. While both of them are making money, because some people have products, clothes, all kinds of products, phones, whatever it is that they have to sell, something to sell versus a service. How does that approach that you're taking in those systems, how does it vary for the person that has the product versus the person that has a service? Especially, I'm thinking of the service person. The AIs may be putting some of the people that offer that service that the AI is doing out of business before they even get started.
I really love the direction you went with that question. And I want to just start by saying that you have 3 different type of AIs, right? You have AI in the beginning stage that we know as like Alexa and Siri. We tell it to do something and it does something for us and things of that nature. Then we have AI, I'm just going to call it our second form of AI, where we give it a function or a question for it to produce, and then it blows our mind by producing some amazing document or output for us, right? And then you have this third version of AI, which you may have seen in like hospitals and things of that nature, where they're like passing meds. They already know what time you have to be there and get your med and all of those things, right? And so the reality of those things is whether we're right now, I don't know what the future holds, and I have to be transparent about that. However, right now where we are is that those 3 forms of AI still need a human being to function. And so there's a few different things that you asked within your question, and so I'm starting from the end and working my way backwards. And so that thing is, you are essential. You, every individual on this call, is essential. Even with the amazing AI that's being produced, the objective is to find a way to incorporate that AI inside of the service or the product that you offer currently. How can you utilize AI to improve or to scale your business? Is where you stand at with it versus looking at it like competition, like, hey, if I utilize this thing, or if they continue to produce this thing, or if this thing continues to improve, it's going to put me out of business. No, we're seeing it happen already. Canva moved quickly. Canva didn't have a magic tool. They didn't have a form that produces a output in less than 3 seconds for you once you tell it what to produce, that you can be very specific with. Like, we have to be strategic in those ways, and that's what this boils down to, is strategy. While these artificial intelligence can produce, it's not strategic yet to put these pieces together. And so, kind of working our way backwards, where you talk about the difference between an entrepreneur who provides a service and one who provides a product, I'm going to kind of tap into that cliche thing we always hear, but that's really a true thing, where we talk about having 7 streams of income. And truly, when people hear that, they automatically think I have to have 7 streams of income and do 7 different things, and I need to be like an octopus. When in actuality, how can I turn this one thing I'm doing into 7 streams of income? And so I'll explain that a little bit. If I'm a person who provides a service, I may want to think about producing an ebook. So let's say I am a branding expert or a business coach. So that means you're coming to me for consulting and services of that nature. Well, I may want to put together an ebook on how to scale your business or how to build a business plan, hence things that I've done. And so those are things that you can do to turn that service into a product as well. That also turns into, there's several different ways that you can do that. Now, I can take this training that we're doing right now and produce this into an online training. So now I use something like Thinkific, and I take this recording and post it onto Thinkific, and now I'm selling a replay of a webinar, or I'm hosting a webinar. And for those of us who are not familiar with Thinkific, well, most of us should be, because it's the OMS utilizes it. So, and so with that being said, when you're utilizing it, if you didn't know, your first 3 courses that you're building are completely free. And so you can literally pull out your iPhone or your camera or one of those things, set up some correct lighting, record some great information, or record yourself doing the service, and now you're reselling it as a training. And so you just opened up yourself to another stream of income. You've utilized AI to help you produce these things. And you are not, this is not a competition. And the same thing goes for the person with the product. So you may want to think about maybe you want, if you make candles or you sell candles, maybe you want to teach somebody how to make them. Maybe you're not making them and you're wholesaling them or getting them through a manufacturer. Maybe you want to teach someone that process. Information technology sells. And so essentially, marketing is always going to be key. People do business with people they know, love, and trust. And as long as you understand those factors and you're strategizing and utilizing AI in these spaces to help you scale and improve, I don't really see a concern for either the person that's selling a product or a service.
Love it. Love it. So let's talk about the brand checklist. What is the brand checklist?
So the brand checklist is ultimate. So I'm gonna pull that up because I have that in my notes. It's very, very ultimate. So I'm gonna label these things, and I really encourage individuals to take notes. Most people hear a branding checklist, and what people think I'm going to say is have your logo, have your website, have your cooler, have your colors and things of that nature, and that'll be it. But it's really deeper than that. So the first one is going to be your articles of incorporation. We have to understand that our brand is a business. So like most of the things I provide services, you might see me in a crew neck, or you might see those on the website. However, which they're not on the website right now, they're currently out of stock. But the point is, you might see those type of things, but all of those things is a business. So truly, so my name is Alesia Corpening. However, my brand name is True. And so truly, that is all a brand. That is a DBA. So that's underneath, and I don't want to go too deep into that in this moment, but that's underneath my LLC. So with that being said, is that when we're building our brand and we're putting these logos together and websites and all of those things, we have to be mindful that this is a legitimate business. So articles of incorporation, EINs is in that list. License and permits. We want to make sure that if whatever service or product we're selling, if we need license or permits, that we're thinking about those things. A DUNS number and your SAMS number. Both of them are going to be beneficial when we're talking about building business credit. And yes, as a content creator, you can build business credit as well, because depending on how you structure yourself, you are a business. And so your DUNS number and your SAMS number are going to both be beneficial for that. Depending on what type of product or things you're doing, our vendor's license is going to be essential as well if we're selling. Trademarks and copyrights. We are, again, building brands, and when we are talking about scaling and putting our content, our information, our logos, all of those things in front of millions and billions of people, we want to be very, very mindful of those things, and we want to make sure that we're building for sustainability.
Absolutely. Keep in mind, everybody, when we're going to ask questions about this, articles of incorporation, while we're making quick adjustments, articles of incorporation, your EIN number, your SAMS number, your DUNS number. Alesia, can you mention, because you mentioned it, but you didn't say it in your checklist, you mentioned True being your DBA. I know what that means, but can you explain what a DBA is for all of our threes and as a reminder to some of our ones in the checklist?
Yes, and DBA was actually the next one, so that's perfect. DBA means doing business as. And what that essentially is just saying that I am utilizing this name to do business. So I may be sending invoices with this name attached to it. I may be hosting a show with this name attached to it. I may be producing content with this name attached to it. This name may be inside of a production credit, depending on what industry or what it is that I'm doing or what my business focus is. And so DBA just means doing business as. And that was the next one. And why are those things essential? Is because that leads to things like when you go to open up a business bank account. So we have to remember, when we talk about scaling our brand, we're talking about automating our brand, because that's what this all goes back to. We're not just posting on social media or looking to generate or use tools like Metricool. So that's something to write down. Not only Metricool, but later, and tools of that nature to auto post on social media. We're not doing those things to not generate a profit, or to not get our information in front of more people, or our education in front of more people. You always have a goal or a mission inside of your business, and those things are on the checklist as well. So business bank account, your business plan, marketing and promotion strategy, fund development plan, your standard operating procedures. And I know this sounds overwhelming, but I want you to already know that this is where your AI and the automation comes into place, because what you can do is use something like ChatGPT, and you can ask it to produce these things for you. And you can be very, 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 very specific on what you want it to produce for you. And with that format, or with that outline, you and your human brain can go in and adjust it as you need. But it's literally building a framework for you to automate your brand. And I'm just going to briefly go into those last few things that's on that list, which was, so you want to make sure you have a contractor agreement, a work for hire agreement, because you're going to be collaborating with other individuals. Your logo, that's the big one everybody usually waiting for. Your business name, I talked about that earlier. Your mission statement. Why are you doing all of this? Why are you automating your business and your brand in the first place? Goals. What goals do you have in the next 30 days, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and so forth? Tagline. Again, we're building a brand experience. Brand agreement. So again, you may be connecting with other individuals, or you want to have a non-disclosure brand agreement, non-disclosure agreement. Any of those things is basically saying that, hey, I'm working with you, I'm collaborating with you, but what we disclose or what we build in this room, we're not going to take it anywhere else. And as business owners who are automating and pushing out content and creating content, those things are essential. And the last two things are the MOU, which is your memorandum of understanding, which is essentially outlining when you are collaborating with other individuals, What are my roles, responsibilities? Who's responsible for what thing inside of this business? And business cards and websites. I talked about business cards in the beginning. I use Papo. Just have something while you are out networking, because that's going to be a big thing. And your website is because when you give people a call to action, you need to, and when you're automating and you're putting all of these things in place, you need to give them a place to land. And some people have brick and mortars. Some people have brick and mortars, but even with the brick and mortar, e-commerce is essential because you can now reach billions of people.
I love it. I love it. For those people who are just tuning in right now, you are listening to Alesia Corpening. She is the owner of Feed Your Soul, the executive director of the 501c3 Feed Your Soul. She is a content creator. She does a lot of different stuff. And what we're about to do in the next 5 minutes, we're about to open it up for questions for the rest of the time. There's one thing that you said that I do want to give you an opportunity to give clarity on, is social media automation, right? Because I even had a conversation one day. I was talking to Rhonda, who is our national director of career services, and one day I was off, and when I came in, I said, "Hey, I don't want you to think that I was posting on social media on the day that I was sick and felt like I was dying. This stuff was scheduled." She says, "Oh, Philip, I know. I schedule a lot of my social media posts. It's all automated." And then, so when I'm in meetings, posts can be going out while I'm in meetings. Can you explain the significance of automation in general and automating your social media as it relates to their brand specifically?
Yes. So no matter how much you want to be that superhero who manually posts on and be omni-social on all of the platforms, you're human. You have a life at home, whether you have kids or not. You have to go make money, whether you're an entrepreneur or you work a 9 to 5. You have daily responsibilities. And that's what automation is about. It's saying that I know that I, as a human being, cannot do 50 things at one time. And so let me put these things in place. And so when we are talking about automating on social media, we have to remember that social media is like your brick and mortar business. And if you don't turn on the lights and put the open sign on when you open up your store in the morning, then nobody's going to know that you're open. They're probably going to think you're closed, or you're going to get that they always closed, they never open on time, and you're going to get that type of conversation. And so social media is the same exact thing. You have to show up. You have to show up daily. People are expecting you, especially when you build a community. People are expecting you. And so there's multiple ways to show up, whether you're posting in your stories, sending DMs, posting on your page. The objective is to show up daily. Not all the time are you going to show up at 100%. Sometimes it's going to be 20%. But if you automate, you at least know that you have a presence in those spaces. So essentially, it's really just about marketing and promotion and constantly putting your brand and your business in your target audience space. And the way to do that is to automate it. Metricool was one of the apps or the platforms that I talked about earlier, and that is actually a web software. So you can go on like type it into your Google search or something of that nature, and it's Metricool, Metricool. And I like Metricool because you can post on all of the platforms, the YouTube, the TikTok, all of those things. And so the objective with this is for you to create a system. Most of the times we don't have systems. So what I mean by system is that you get a lot of content, right? No matter how you're getting it. If you are my ones in the room, you might be having people send you that content because you have other people working with you or things of that nature. Or you might just know that in your head, I have to get content. So you've been creating content and now it's just sitting in your phone or on your laptop or wherever it's sitting. If you're my 3 inside of the room, then you might not even be recording content at all. But the objective is to know that, okay, these days are my content days. So I'm recording content on these days, or I know that I'm consistently always ready and available to record content and store it in this specific place. So whether it's an album on your phone, so for me, so for example, I do social media strategy with OMS and the Beonair brand. And so with on those calls, when I'm on campus at the Cleveland campus and I record content, there's an album in my phone that says OMS content. If I'm working with another client through True Creatives or something of that nature, then it's going to say that client's name, but all of their content that I shoot, after I'm done with it, I automatically transition it over into that album. So that first thing is to record your content. And then that second thing is for you to place it in a space that you can identify and go back to easily when you go into your editing process. Now, a lot of people are still utilizing Instagram to edit and TikTok and things of that nature and are editing it in app. And I'm not upset at that, especially if you are three in the room. My ones, I'm holding you more accountable. So you need to have something else in place. And this, again, is where AI gets incorporated when we're talking about automating. And we can use something as simple as like CapCut. We can do Canva and things of that nature. That's great for our graphics and things like that. But if we're talking about our video content, we want to utilize things like we want to use things like CapCut, because when we put those videos in there, we can hit the auto cut and it's going to produce a great piece of content that we can now repurpose on all of these platforms for us anyways. If I'm that person who's more so like LinkedIn or something of that nature, I can use something like Tango, which is just a Chrome extension that you'll put through Google. And when you press the extension, it records every step you make. And now it gives you a how-to direction physical. It gives you a printout. It gives you photos. It gives you an interactive link that the end consumer can utilize. And so, again, we've recorded our content, we put it in a safe space, and we've now identified what tools we're going to use to edit that content as well. Now we need to automate it by putting it in something like that Metricool that I talked about, and it's going out into the world. You're going to use ChatGPT or the Canva Magic tool to create your ad copies for you. So I encourage people to create a 7-day system, meaning that you know when you already, your goal is going in to either nurture, educate, or make a sale. And so utilizing that framework, when I go into ChatGPT, I'm going to ask, can you create me 10 tweets that's going to help me sell to my target audience, which is this type of person, et cetera, et cetera. The end goal is to create a system utilizing the tools that I've mentioned.
Love it. All right. Now we have monopolized a lot of time. You've given so much information. I hope everyone has been paying attention, because now what we're going to do is open up the floor. Right now it's 11 minutes past the hour. We got to be done by 7:28. So that gives us about a little over 15 minutes for Q&A. So I'm going to ask people, we're going to look at the floor right now. And if you have a question, raise your hand, hit the raise hand feature that you see right here, like so. And you see the hands pop up. If you have a question, hit the raise hand feature. When we call on you, make sure you say your name, ask your question, and then stop talking so that we can give Alesia the opportunity to answer the question and other people can ask questions as well. So if you have a question right now, hit the raise your hand feature like so, and I will call on you so that you can ask your question. All right, you see hands are popping up, so let's go to Michael. Michael, you have the floor. Go ahead and introduce yourself and ask your question. Oh, you can unmute yourself. Let me unmute you. Oh, unmute yourself, Mike.
Ah, there we go. You guys can hear me?
There you go.
Hey, what's happening, y'all?
What's good? Go ahead and introduce yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, my name is Mike Rose. I went to Colorado Media School here in Denver, or Lakewood, rather. Yeah, so I have a question. So I'm a content creator. I do video for dance. I just film dance. So right now I have a business called Red Motion Entertainment. I've been filming dance battles lately. I decided that I also wanted to create a theme page called Has Movement, which means hip hop and street dance movement. And I just had a question about all the legal stuff. So what I want to do with Has Movement is mainly create, content, or posting other people's content and giving them credit for it for other dancers and things like that in order to build a community on Instagram. And then also maybe sell T-shirts on that. But that's underneath my, the same email as my regular page, my Red Motion page, and Has Movement. They're all under the same page. So I'm wondering if that means that I need to have separate EIN numbers for each of them, or if I can just put it all under one. I guess that's my main question.
Okay, so great question. Now you gave a lot in there. I want to start by saying that I do not give legal advice, so I cannot tell you how to legally structure your business. What it sounds like to me is that you have two different options that you can create a umbrella, meaning that when you go to file articles of incorporations, whether you do LLC, C Corp, any of those things, whatever you decide, that you can place those other items underneath there, kind of how I talked about like DBAs and things of that nature, or place those as services or products that you're providing. The other alternative is you can separate those things and make them all separate businesses. But again, I cannot instruct you on which one of those would be best for you, but I can just tell you that you do have options with those. If you are to do them with the umbrella effect, you do not need to create an EIN number, a new EIN number. You can utilize one EIN number. All you're doing is the services and products you're doing still fall under the description you defined as for that business. When you said that this is the purpose of my business, those things still fall in that category. That's kind of how I talked about 7 streams off of one thing. So now you're not having to create all of these new different platforms.
Right on. I'll definitely take that in. Is there yep. Oh, is there a specific kind of person I should talk to about the legal stuff? Like, should I just go in like H&R Block, or is there like a...
No, that's kind of like taxes and things of that nature. You want to talk to like an attorney. So if you're in your city and things of that nature, you might have something like a legal aid, or you want to probably check out like some of the colleges that have law programs and things. Sometimes they do those type of things pro bono, or you can hire an attorney if you have a family attorney. I don't know your specific situation, but I would just say you want to talk to a business attorney who can help you appropriately produce those documents. In the meantime, when you're just grasping like that content or you're producing that page, if you want to go ahead and put those things out, then you just want to have those simple things like a contract or something that's providing permission. You're getting permission from those individuals to actually record and post their or repurpose their content or their intellectual property or their face on camera.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Enjoy your day.
All right, thank you, Michael. Ephraim, you got the floor.
Philip B. and Alicia C. Hey, Philip B., you're from Columbus.
I am in Cincinnati.
Yay. Okay, so when you don't have an attorney, do you recommend, because I am a business consultant, do you recommend at any time going to a consultant when it comes to structuring your business, even scaling your business, growing your business? Or do you rather a person go to an attorney first? Because I'm a business consultant and I get a lot of people that come to me before they go to an attorney, because a lot of people don't really understand the leveraging of an attorney, because criminal attorneys are not entertainment attorneys. But what is your spill on that?
So I think you made a great point that criminal attorneys are not business attorneys, and so media attorneys is kind of how you framed it. But that's why I always preference going with a business And to answer your direct question, I say at least have your basic documentations in place before working with anyone, whether it's a consultant, whether it's a project management, anything. And I'm not saying that you have to have everything on that checklist in place before you go and work with another individual, but things like your non-disclosure agreements, things like understanding your work for hire agreements or service contracts, MOUs, things of that nature. And yes, I always suggest you to protect your intellectual property before working with a consultant as well. Because if you give me your logo to produce something for you, whether it's a website, any of those things, but it's not legally protected, then by right, it's mine. Like I can do whatever I want with it once I manipulate it. And so because I've personally been in situations like this and things of that nature, I always recommend to people at least protect your intellectual property first. Whether you do that by creating documents inside using Chat GPT, whether you do that by getting on something like Rocket Lawyer, whether you do it by doing a pro bono, whether you hire an attorney, protect your intellectual property, or at least, I'm sure people have heard of a poor man's copyright. Make sure you leave a paper trail for what it is that you are producing before working or building with a consultant or anyone. So in short, yes, I do recommend people to at least get their framework or the intellectual property protected before working with the consultant.
Love it. Thank you so much, Ephraim. Who has another question? I know we've got chats in the, I know we've got people making chats in here. So any other questions before, or I'll pivot? Any other questions? While people are thinking about their questions, one of the things I wanted to ask is, you talked about building your brand experience, building that experience when people experience your brand. What is the end consumer's experience with that? Can you elaborate a little bit on what it means to build a brand experience?
Yes. So when you open up a bottle of Coca-Cola and you drink it, it leaves a taste in your mouth. When you see the Coca-Cola logo, it can be your name. It can say Philip B written in a Coca-Cola logo. But when you see that font and that red, it gives you an experience of Coca-Cola, whether you're thinking about that white polar bear that they used to have, whether you're thinking about the old commercials, whether you're thinking about the bottles with everybody's name on it. There's some type of experience that they built for you to leave a certain type of taste in your mouth, so to say. And so when I talk about building a brand experience, it's saying that even when I'm not in the room, what do you think about True? Even when I'm not in the room, what taste did True Creatives leave in your mouth? What did we do that made you think of us consistently outside of that one interaction? And so that's essentially just what I mean when I'm talking about building the brand experience. And how do you do that? By following those formulas that I talked about before. Automation puts you in a space to where you can scale. It means that I now have the ability to talk to or deal with or handle more things. Yes, there's going to be portions where you have to work in your business and where you have to work on your business. However, automating, utilizing these systems, building a brand experience, leaving a certain taste in your target audience mouth and your customer's mouth, all of those things are essential to making sure that you scale.
Love it. I love it. Questions. If you have questions right now, you've got Alesia Corpening in the room. We've got 22 minutes past the hour. We got about 5 more minutes before questions are going to be shut down. So if you have a question, make sure you pop your hand up, hit that feature on your list like now. And we've got Lucas Thompson. You got the floor. Go for it.
Sorry, guys. Alesia, thanks for your time. First and foremost, I'm a business owner for about a year now, service disabled veteran, working with a couple mentorship programs. for diversity and inclusion. But one of the things that I came to Illinois Media School for was some of the different social media enticements that I am hoping that they offer, and or I still haven't experienced yet. Where did you learn the majority of your social media skills?
Yes. So the majority of my social media skills is a combination of two things. One, I started at OMS just like every other alumni and things of that nature. Now, I did have experience prior to going to OMS when it came to working and utilizing social media. I was already familiar with the technology. I am a person who grew up in the MySpace era. So like as technology and web has been developing, I've kind of been growing up with it. And so I was already building MySpace pages, taking them down, building social media pages, taking them down. And so I caught a very early development of social media in itself. By the time I got to OMS, what it did for me was help improve and build on those skills, and it helped give me a better understanding of the direction social media was going in. And so one of the things like John used to say, or Mike used to say all the time, was like, utilize your cell phone, utilize your cell phone. It's something that's going to produce quick for you and help you put content out in a quick manner, in an automated manner, things of that nature, right? And so essentially it went with that, and then taking those skills and doing my continuing education. Whether I was getting on YouTube, I've purchased thousands of dollars in courses. I've traveled to many states to learn this information. And so it's a continuous thing. While OMS, it was the groundwork and the framework for me, and I took the tools and the skill sets and things like learning how to write a copy and knowing to mention the product or the service 3 times to entice the piece, to entice the customer. So like a lot of those marketing pieces that go into social media and strategy came from OMS. And then I did my due diligence by building on that education and investing in myself.
Thank you so much, Lucas. All right. So listen, we've got literally 5 minutes before the event is over with, and which means we have 3 minutes left. So closing question that I have for you before Linda comes back on is this. You've talked a lot about a lot of different things, the benefits, the brand checklist, and all of the details that go along with it. Money, because it takes money to pay for all of this. So in about 2 minutes, how does someone who's functioning, they have this big dream, but they have limited finances to pay for all of those checklists? So what is your recommendation for someone who has a very big dream, but a very limited budget?
So I gave you the answer. Go watch the replay. Wherever this video is posted was your answer to how you get the money. Because all those automation tools I talked about, when I talked about ebooks and creating those type of things, all of those things, those are money makers. You can use platforms like Gumroad or PayHip and post those ebooks that you created in Canva. That's just free information that came from you studying. And now you're charging $5, $17, $30, $50 for a digital product. Or if you're cooking a great meal in the kitchen and now you're selling recipes, I just taught you in this hour how to produce a income for yourself with a $0 overhead. A lot of those platforms are absolutely free. A lot of those automation tools are absolutely free. You do it consistently, automate consistently, and then take that income and you invest it back into your business and you start to build those legal things we talked about.
Love it. Love it. All right. It's 27 minutes past the hour. We got 1 minute. Ephraim, you got 30 seconds to ask your question. Go for it.
Well, I like the question you just asked, and I thought I can add and piggyback on what she's saying.
30 seconds.
You can become a member to a nonprofit and leverage the use of them writing grants for you. That's another form of getting funding. There's a grant right now that's out at Assembly for the Arts for $6,000. I'm a president for a nonprofit, so that's one of the things I do for the local artists. I write grants for seed fund or starting up funds. Thanks.
All right. So listen, Alicia, thank you so much. We've got 2 minutes to spare. Thank you, Ephraim, for your comments. Closing thoughts. I'm gonna leave it to you. Closing thoughts.
Yes. So I'm going to use my closing thoughts to just clarify that grants and crowdfunding and all of those things are all amazing tools. But whether we're talking about automation, posting on social media, any of those things, these things all boil down to trust, building community. People do business with people they know, love, and trust. When we're talking about automating our brand and building our businesses, we have to remember why we're doing it. Remember that we're not operating from that space of loss. We're operating from a space of scale, and to just remember to do it in an authentic way. Pace yourself. There's no wrong way to do it. It's just show up daily and get it done. Activate.